Magandang buhay sa ating lahat. Today, I'll be sharing with you the second part of the series Making the Impossible Possible. And tulad ng sinabi ko nung unang episode, ito ay pagbabahagi ng aking buhay sa mga karanasan ko bilang isang tao, bilang isang edukador, bilang isang leader sa edukasyon na naway magbigay ng inspirasyon at pag-asa sa ating lahat, lalo-lalo na sa gitna ng pandemya. And today, the title of my sharing would be Believe in Yourself, Finding the Hero in Each One. Norman Vincent Peale once said, and I quote, "Believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities. Without a humble and reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy." End of quote. The strength of leadership depends greatly in our belief, in our capacities and abilities to make a difference. There is no real school or formal schooling for leaders. It is experience and our resiliency towards challenges that can equip us with the character to become great leaders. Each person has the natural capacity for leadership, but only those who believe that they can do it can succeed. Many stories of great leaders will attest to this reality. And with a big push from someone whom we consider our hero, who have believed in our possibilities, can one attain the confidence to believe in oneself. There is that power within us that we have to tap so we come into our full potentials. Each person needs for self-actualization, and the key is to understand who we are as individuals. And this is where sometimes we look up to other persons, other people who gives us the push to understand and know ourselves better. There is a need to constantly examine our lives and to come to terms to our reality, our strengths, our weaknesses, and what we are capable of doing. All persons have that capacity to transcend and become what we dream ourselves to be. It was September of 2014 when the intensive preparations for the biggest reform in education in the Philippines took place. It was also the year when I was asked to be part of the regional office workforce as an education program supervisor. I was also designated at that time as the regional focal person for senior high school, coordinate with the different schools division offices in the implementation of senior high school in their own respective divisions. It was a task that was really alien to me, as this is a new program of the Department of Education. And as part of my duties as the regional focal person in senior high school, I was tasked to make a presentation by our regional director, then Dr. Isabelita Bores, for her to ask me to come up with a presentation which she would be using for the Regional Development Council meeting. She was to present the regional implementation plan based on the implementation plan that was presented by the different schools division offices during the national conference. I was only given 3 days to consolidate those reports of the different schools division offices. The format of the presentation by the different schools division offices was totally different from the format that was given to me by the regional director. So I have to rearrange everything and come up with a presentation according to the format that our regional director gave. I have to do it together with my task then as a school head, and at the same time part of the quality assurance division of the regional office. I was able to give the presentation to our regional director 2 days before she would be presenting it, or before she would be using it for the meeting. However, it did not pass to the standards of my regional director. So she asked me to revise it. After the revision, I emailed it back to her. But again, second time, she wanted me to revise it again. So what I did was to coordinate with the secretary of the regional director and the ICT coordinator at that time to help me come up with the presentation. So we work on it, and after working on it, we emailed it back to her and waited for her response. But there was no response, and it was already beginning to be late in the evening. So I decided to go home, since at that time my wife was in Australia visiting her brother, and my youngest son was all alone home. So I wanted to come back as early as possible to be with my youngest son. That was already around 8 o'clock in the evening. And halfway on my trip going back home, I received a phone call from the secretary of the regional director telling me to go back to the regional office and revise again the presentation. It was really a dilemma on my part. There were doubts that came to me, and I asked myself, will I continue to be part of the regional office? Would I still seek promotion, but at the same time I have to sacrifice my precious time with my family? And I realized it was really question of priorities. But I had no choice. I have to go back and revise the presentation because my regional director would be using it the next day. That experience has really challenged my self-worth as a person. However, it gave me the strength to understand my capabilities as a person, that despite the circumstances, one can transcend the situation and achieve what must be achieved. In the end, she was able to use the presentation for the Regional Development Council meeting. On hindsight, I realized that it was really a test of my courage and determination as a leader and as a person, because I found out that 3 days before I was given that task, my appointment papers were already signed by the regional director as education program supervisor of the regional office. Ultimately, if I have not believed in myself, I could have given up and back out. That one experience was a turning point in my life because it gave me more reasons to go on and be of real service to others. Let me share a part of a graduation message I delivered during one of the first graduation ceremonies for senior high school last April of 2018. And let me start with this. Once upon a time, there was a bunch of tiny frogs who arranged a climbing competition. The goal was to reach the top of a very high tower. A big crowd had gathered around the tower to see the race and cheer on the contestants. The race began. Honestly, no one in the crowd really believed that the tiny frogs would reach the top of the tower. You will hear statements such as, "Oh, that's too difficult. They will never make it to the top. Not a chance that they will succeed. The tower is very high." The tiny frogs began collapsing one by one, except for those who kept a fresh tempo and kept climbing higher and higher. The crowd continued to yell, "Oh, it's too difficult. No one will make it." More tiny frogs got tired and gave up. But there is this one who continued to go higher and higher and higher. The one little tiny frog wouldn't give up. At the end, everyone else had given up climbing the tower, except for the one tiny frog who, after big effort, was the only one who reached the top. All of the other tiny frogs naturally wanted to know how this one frog managed to do it. The contestant asked the tiny frog how he had found the strength to succeed and reach the goal. It turned out the winner was death. Yes, bingi po yung tiny frog. But what is the wisdom of this story that I just relayed to you? never listen to other people's tendencies to be negative or pessimist. You have to believe in your own abilities and capabilities. Ganyan po ang nangyari sa atin sa senior high school. Nung una, para tayong mga tao na nagsasabi sa mga palaka na, ay naku, hindi kaya ng DepEd yan. Ako, masyadong ambisyoso ang senior high school. Maraming hindi magpapatuloy. Dagdag gastos lang ang senior high school. Pero tulad ng isang maliit na palaka, naging bingi tayo sa mga batikos ng ibang tao at nagpatuloy tayo na yakapin ang pagbabago na ngayon inaani natin ang binhi ng ating tagumpay. Sabi ko nga sa mga mag-aaral noon, tingnan ninyo ang inyong mga sarili ngayon. Mas handa kayo, mas may tiwala sa pagtahak ng buhay, mas merong kakayahan upang makamit ang mga pangarap sa buhay. At that time, I was also invited as a guest speaker of a graduation ceremony of the senior high school students in a private school. And looking at the graduates, I felt so accomplished as the regional senior high school focal person. Seeing the first batch of senior high school graduates full of confidence, good in oral communication, and thankful because of the senior high school program. Naluluha ako habang nakikinig sa mga mensahe ng mga nagsipagtapos dahil kitang-kita ko ang magandang bunga ng senior high school sa mga kabataan. Ngayon, parang hindi pa tapos iba sa senior high school. Pero kinukuha na sila ng industriya upang magtrabaho dahil nakita nila ang kahandahan ng mga senior high school students dahil sa kakayahan na hinubog ng ating mga guro. The experience I went through as the senior high school focal person, where I have to move from one division to another to advocate the program and meeting different stakeholders and seeing the fruits of our labor strengthened my belief in the capacity of persons to transcend whatever circumstances we may have. We only have to believe in our strength as individuals, created in the image and likeness of God. Our belief in ourselves and faith in God will bring us to the wholeness of our being. There is no giving up, but continue to grow and succeed in our mission in life. And this journey shall continue. It continues because in each one of us, there is that hero. We only have to find that hero within us so that our learners and others who would want to look up to as their heroes, to save them, to help them, to guide them in whatever circumstances they are in. We are there to lend our helping hand. And in God's grace, nothing will be possible. Amen. Hello guys! Bago pala ang lahat, gusto ko magpasalamat sa lahat ng mga nag-subscribe dito sa aking YouTube channel. At sana i-share pa rin ninyo para mas marami pang mag-subscribe dito sa YouTube channel ko. Magbibigay ng inspirasyon at pag-asa sa atin, sa lahat ng maraming tao na makakasalamuhan natin. So guys, maraming salamat. Thank you very much. At sana dumami pa yung ating subscribe dito sa ating YouTube channel. Hello guys. Thank you. God bless.